Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Eve or Evie. Lovely to meet you. Today I wanted to chat to you about building a daily sketchbook habit. Not necessarily daily, but just making time for yourself to draw, paint, whatever it is you want to do in a sketchbook. So let's dive into 7 tips that I have for you so that you can spend more time sketchbooking. I think it's really important to point out that when it comes to using a sketchbook, don't overthink it. And this isn't a tip, this isn't one of my 7 tips, but it's just something that makes sense to me. If you sit there and overthink it, you're never going to get it done. You're never going to pull out a sketchbook. You're never going to pick up a pencil or a paintbrush. You're just going to be like plodding along, wanting to do it, but overthinking it. So my first tip for you is to use a clipboard. I have one here. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't have the space to do drawing or painting. I don't have anywhere that's dedicated. You can see I'm working in a very small room. This room doubles up. I'm very fortunate before you get the wrong idea. But this room doubles up as my work room for when I'm sewing and pattern cutting. You can see a sewing machine here. If I am making up paper maquettes of products that I'm creating, it's also my art room. It's my computer room where I write blog posts, I edit videos. This room is the everything room that I do for my business and my personal hobbies. But most times I want to sit in the living room with my other half while he's watching a film, or I might want to draw in bed while he's reading a book. And having a clipboard has changed that so much. I'll put some overhead footage in so that you can see what I'm doing, but generally speaking, I have a sketchbook. I clip it to the main clip here. I would quite often clip the sketchbook open like so, and then I will clip it onto the board. Can you see? That's not going anywhere. And then if I'm painting, I have this tiny little bulldog clip. Is it called a bulldog clip? Binder clip. Here's a palette. And see? It's not going anywhere. But it means I've got my paints. If you wanted more than one binder clip, put more than one on. This works for me when I'm not shaking it around. I normally have a couple of pencils or something with me, and I can literally sit there and do what I do anywhere in the house. So that's my first tip, is to get yourself a clipboard. I'll put a link to the one that I use. I think I got it from Jackson's below. It fits an A4 sketchbook. If you were going to do an A4, you probably want an extra clip. Okay, so I can take this away. I can take this around the house with me. It gives you a solid surface, so you've got something to lean on. I even take it out when I go to like museum visits, things like that. It's a no-brainer. Okay, tip number 2 is to use cheap sketchbooks. Currently, I'm using a Talens. It's Art Creation. You can see it's like the square format one. I don't love this one because of the format, but I used the Talens quite a lot. I think this one was like €4.50. Kangaroo. I've got multiple of these. This one I recently finished. I'll leave the link to the sketchbook tour up here if you want to see it. This is my August to October last year. I don't number them like. This one is October 25 to December 2025. And because they're so cheap, these ones are €3.20. So cheaper than the Talens. I like the paper because I just like the paper in here. But because they're so cheap, I'm prolific with them. I get through them quite quickly. €3 a pop. Like you could have one a month and it's less than the price of coffee. Also Talens, this is the cork one. So the paper in here is white. For the ones that I've got sketchbook tours, I'll leave the links. And then these are the larger Talens ones. These ones I think are more like €7. But again, prolific because, let me see if I can do a backwards flip. Like everything goes into them because they're so cheap. I actually prefer this bigger format, I think. I need to. That was a rubbish. I'll do a flick through. But these are so cheap. Having a cheap sketchbook will take away the pressure. I've got here the Perfect Sketchbook from Etcher. This is one of the very first sketchbooks I brought because I read that Etcher was the best if you were doing watercolor, which is what I started with when I was getting back into art. I did a foundation in art and design at school years and years and years and years ago before I did my fashion degree. It's never been used. I think I took 1 page out the back in order to make my first sketchbook. I didn't even take a page. I took a snippet of a page, which I tore out. It's 100% cotton watercolor paper, artist grade, landscape format. I think this was like £40. That's why I've never used it. £40 for a sketchbook. What was I thinking? It might have been a bit less because I probably got it in the sale at Jackson's. £40 for a sketchbook. That's why I don't use it. Why would I, like, if I'm doing some of my, I mean, I'm going to say the word rubbish, but I don't mean it. But some of my rubbish little drawings, you know, every time I put pen or pencil to paper, doesn't mean I'm going to create a work of art. It's probably going to be a rubbish drawing. But rubbish drawing to me could equal a brilliant drawing to someone else. I know this, which is why I don't like to use the word, but some of my drawings are rubbish. And it's not about whether it's good drawings or bad drawings, good art or bad art. It's about actually just dedicating a little bit of time each day to drawing or painting, so I'm building my skills. And I've seen so much progress in the last year, especially in my abilities. So cheap sketchbook, I highly recommend you pick one up. You could even go to like your local art shop, order it online if that's the only option to you, but just get something small so you don't feel overwhelmed by the big page. And if you start feeling like that small page is too small, then get the next size up. But yeah, cheap sketchbook to begin with. My third tip to get you drawing more often is to draw what you see. Like literally draw what you see. Last night I drew a section of my desk because I'd done some like people drawings and I just wanted to like wind it down before bed, so I drew what was on my desk. The other week I looked out my window. I have sketchbooks all over my room and art materials mixed in with fabric and makes for fun. This was literally the view from where I'm sitting right now. That's my view. And I had, I think, like 10 minutes before a call, and so I got a pencil and I pulled out that sketchbook and I just drew what I could see. It might be that you're making a morning cup of coffee and you're waiting for your coffee machine to warm up, or however it is you make your coffee. If you have a small sketchbook with you and a pencil, you can just draw what's on your draining board, or draw your cup, or draw outside your back window while you're waiting for the coffee machine to warm up. Drawing what you see, it's good for observation. Like I draw a lot of what I see, and I'm quite happy now walking out, sitting down at a cafe with my other half or alone and just drawing what's in front of me. It really helps with your observation skills. You notice more stuff. Like that's why I noticed I'll put the footage in. But the other day there was a bird. We have a tree right outside our house. It's a very narrow tree. It's very tall, very narrow. And there are no leaves on it at the moment because it's winter. And there was this big, it wasn't a blackbird, but it was like a crow. It was a black crow. And it was perching precariously on one of the top branches. It's not even a branch at that point. It's like a twig. It's balancing on a twig. I was like, that is amazing. And you just, when you're drawing every day, even if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it is, it will make you observe more things in your daily life. I walked down a street in London a couple of Saturdays ago when I was in the UK, and I could hear this quack, 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 quack. And I was like, where is it? It was a magpie. I knew it was a magpie. And I could see one on the, if I've still got the photo or the video footage, I'll insert that as well. Literally on the spire part of the church, but it wasn't making a noise. And I was like, there has to be another one. So I'm looking around, and there in the tree, you can barely see it, but there's another magpie, quack, quack, calling out to the other magpie, clearly thinking like, hey, you're too high up. I'm scared of heights. Come back, come back. I just found it hilarious. But I wouldn't have noticed that had I not been like spending so much time drawing and really observing my environment. So yeah, that's my third tip. Or drawing more in your sketchbook, I should say, is to just draw what you see in front of you, whether it's your hand, whether it's your partner. Yeah, hopefully that inspires you too. Tip number 4. Yeah, it's number 4. Is to pick one material, literally one thing. It could be a pen, it could be a pencil, it could be an ink pen. My go-to is barely there anymore. This pencil, it's the extra soft oil base from Pitt. This is a bigger one because this one's so small now, but this one I can fit in a pocket. I can attach it to the strappy part of my sketchbook. It's my go-to. I've got one that I did. These are not very good drawings, but that's using just this one simple pencil. Or I've got, this was during the Christmas break, drawing what was in front of me using that pencil from our living room over the holidays. Just draw what's in front of you with one material. A pencil. It doesn't have to be a black pencil. You could use a colour pencil. You could use a pastel pencil. You could use like a brush pen. You could even use a water brush or a water soluble pencil and then use a water brush to wash it out. You could have a tiny palette and just have like one colour in it, and you use that and you build up the layers. All these options, but choosing just one thing takes away any of the what am I going to do aspect of drawing or painting using your sketchbook every day. Like if you know that you're just going to use this pencil and you're just going to use this sketchbook and you just are going to draw what's in front of you, well, you've taken away so much of the pressure and the stress, and you can just draw without thinking about it. Okay, tip number 5 is to set a timer. If you've got a watch, if you've got a phone, I've Can't show you mine because I'm on it, but literally grab your pencil, grab your sketchbook, sit down somewhere or stand up at the window. Find a space and literally plonk yourself there. Use your clipboard, set a timer, 5 minutes. If you know that you've got to run out the house in 20 minutes to go to work, but you're done and your coffee's there, then grab your sketchbook and set a timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and draw. If you don't make time for it, it's never going to happen. And everyone has 5 minutes. I don't care what anyone says, I don't have 5 minutes because I've got to go to work, or I've got to go and take care of my family, or I've got to go and walk the dog. You had 5 minutes to walk the dog. Did you walk the dog for 30 minutes and actually it could have been 25 and then you had 5 minutes for drawing? Did you end up doom scrolling on Facebook or Instagram for 20 minutes because you were bored? Well, why don't you just pick up a pencil and a sketchbook? Did you put Netflix on for like 3 hours binge watching of ancient Friends episodes, which no criticism, I like Friends too. But did you do that for 3 hours because you got home from work exhausted and you can't bear the thought of doing anything else and you ordered takeout? Well, all that 3 hours, that was 3 hours when you could have been drawing. I mean, I wouldn't recommend drawing for 3 hours if you've never done it before because it's intense, but like you could have taken out 10 minutes to do that instead. That you will always find time to do things that you want to do if you really want to do it enough. But sometimes it's about getting into the habit and forming a habit, and setting a timer for 5 minutes every single day will form that habit. Tip number 6 is to use common, I've written it down as a note as a method, but it's a construct really, I guess. So things like, if you've got your sketchbook, your pencil, you're looking out the window or you're looking at the table in front of you and you don't know what to do, you're like, oh, this is really hard. Like say you've set up a still life, you've got an orange, a cup of tea and a packet of biscuits and you don't quite know how to tackle it. Well, think about it, negative space. What's the space around the cup of tea? What's the space around the packet of biscuits? Or you could do non-dominant hand, so taking your left hand and drawing. That's really hard, I did that last night. I'll put some footage in so you can see what I did. But drawing with your left hand when you're not used to it is really tricky, but it makes your brain switch off. Or maybe a continuous line. I love doing a continuous line where you don't take your pencil or your pen off the paper, so you just keep drawing. Even better is blind continuous line, when you are looking at what it is you're drawing but not actually at your page. So your page will be here and you're looking and you're like this. And you don't look at your paper, so you end up with something really wacky and crazy. But it helps to like take your brain off perfection. You're not thinking about drawing the perfect thing. You're not thinking about, oh, this has to be perfect proportions. Oh, it has to be the perfect perspective. You're just, I'm using this as a method to get my pencil onto paper to do my daily sketchbook practice. Done. Wham bam. Thank you. Constructs. Negative space is a good one. I really enjoyed negative space recently. Number 7, my final tip, so you can sketch more every day in your sketchbook. I'm going to read it out because I wrote it last night and I think it's perfect written as is. So I'm just going to read it directly from my laptop. Stop consuming. I said it. I'm also guilty. You're consuming right now by watching this video. We're all guilty of consuming content. But instead of watching and not doing, grab your sketchbook and just draw. If you have 10 minutes to sit in front of the laptop watching somebody do something, you had 10 minutes to sit there and draw in your sketchbook. So my question to you, what are you waiting for? Grab a sketchbook, grab a pencil, turn me off and go draw.